And we are live. Here we are with a belated book launch and a beverage with the one and only Claudia Klein. Claudia, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
It's
thanks
not
for
that
coming on the
belated,
show.
is it?
What?
The book launch, it's not that belated, is it?
It was
Yes.
yesterday. So not that belated.
That's a day. I mean, for Mike and I, a day late is really just smack the dab on time. That's
Yeah,
all.
I wish I was only $1 short.
Right. But you're a self-published author. You're a lot more than $1 short.
Exactly. What's our favorite quote? You gotta spend money to lose money.
That's right. Casinos don't keep the lights on by themselves.
So,
God.
Claudia, before our viewers start yelling at me, can you please hold up your book you just published yesterday?
And you're going to have to do it again when EL comes on.
Yeah, we'll have to start from the top when EL gets here. So what is that? The Song of
Siege and Shadows.
Nice. And this came out yesterday.
Yes.
And how many pages is it?
It's about 265.
Nice.
It's nice and short, very thin.
Right within your wheelhouse, Michael.
All right.
Look at that.
Well,
EL's already here.
Yeah.
Okay,
I will not read anything over 500 pages, so.
I typically read stuff like not less than 500 pages. So it's kind of funny that I write really short books.
And you have another series that you published before this one that's in the same universe, correct?
Yes, it's in the same universe, but I'm kind of adapting what Sarah J. Maas is doing with her universe, and what Brandon Sanderson's doing with Cosmere by having like all my books interconnected. So this is the Earling Goose series. We have the
A
Ear,
little bit more. Oh, there we go.
the Crown, and the Wizard.
And when did The Wizard come out?
The Wizard came out last year.
Okay. So about one book a year you're averaging?
I'm trying to. I am looking forward to the day when maybe I can do more than one book a year, but for right now, about a book a year.
Yep.
Your covers, you get those, you have somebody do that, or are you one of those people who has artistic ability?
Yes. So I should have grabbed the old covers, because I did the old covers myself, and I got lots of compliments on them, but they didn't say fantasy to me. So I got these ones redone last year when I started running Kickstarters, and I ran 2 Kickstarters for this series last year and got them recovered. So now those are the new covers. And then I got those with 100 covers, and then I went with just a designer and myself for this one. This is from Cover Love Graphic Designs.
Nice. Okay.
Kickstarter. How did you get started with that?
I got wind of the Kickstarter website when Brandon Sanderson ran his huge Kickstarter. I had a friend tell me about it. So I was kind of looking into it, and then I was listening to a podcast, and Russell Nolte was on the podcast, and he was talking about Kickstarter. And then I was like, this might be a good idea to do, because for the first time, I was able to publish The Heir and the Crown for free. I got an editor who was a family member who edited these for free. She did study English in college, so it wasn't like, oh, don't get a family member to edit. She was really freelance editing. So she did it for me for free, and then I did my covers for free. But then for The Wizard, I wanted to get new covers, and my editor had quit freelancing at the time because she got busy with her real job. So I got an actual paid editor for this. So I was like, I'm going to have to kickstart this in order to pay for the editing and break even, because I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't make money, so I have to make sure that my business pays for itself.
That's kind of the dream of most of us right now. That's what we aspire to, is break even.
Yeah, so I started spending big money coming out with The Wizard, and I started making big money going with Kickstarter. Well, kind of big money. My first Kickstarter made 800 something, and then my last one hit about 1,200.
Is that over and above what you were looking for, or total?
I'm just kind of looking. I don't really tell people what I'm actually looking for.
No. I mean, we don't need specific amounts. I'm just saying, did you make above what you were trying to get?
Yes, because they were all successful. Yes.
Okay, great. Did you? I mean, I'm assuming you have a mailing list that you've been working for the last few years, kind of building
Yes,
that up.
basically, as soon as I heard about Kickstarter was when I kind of started hearing, you should have a newsletter. You should have had one yesterday. So I started my newsletter, started trying to grow it, mostly through BookFunnel. And I've taken on, instead of like paying other people, like you can join other newsletter builders. I started running them myself.
Mhm.
So that's how I build my newsletter. And it helps the Kickstarters, I guess.
How much? I just did my newsletter tonight before this show, and I had one of those kind of newsletter builder things into it. How much effort of yours and time does it take to run a newsletter, builder kind of thing?
I've never counted the hours out, but I'd say it takes less than 10 hours.
Okay. Is it just a lot of kind of making sure people give you the right stuff, or does the site make it pretty easy to do it?
What do I run? I run it off of King Sumo. So that makes it really easy. And then I also run ads to it. So I have so much fun doing that because I almost like marketing better than the writing now that I'm kind of getting into marketing.
Mike, write this down.
So
That's a first.
So yeah, I just run them because I get to play around with ads.
And you like that?
It's fun because I need to learn how to do ads for my own book. So it's fun to have to run one for other people because then it gives me more experience.
It's a very positive outlook.
Yeah, we don't like positive outlooks.
How did you find your way here? That's not what we're about. No, I mean, that's awesome if you're able to do that. And the Kickstarter didn't give you a lot of problems. Did you have a lot of different tiers with it, or did you keep it fairly simple?
I think I kept it fairly simple for the first one. The first one was only kickstarting the air. And I tried to keep it simple. And then with the next ones, I tried out book boxes, so it got a little more complicated. And then for Song of Siege and Shadows Kickstarter, I kept it very simple because I was trying out a special edition for the first time. And I have my lovely special edition here. And we did wrapped or case laminate design.
Nice.
We did a little bit of interior artwork.
And where did you get this printed?
I printed it off of Ingram Spark. I was trying to go with Book Vault. And we have a map. And then we have the book with chapter headers, hand-drawn chapter headers for the two different POVs. I'm trying to find the second POV.
So that was a special edition that you made just for your Kickstarter book?
This was a special edition I made just for my Kickstarter. It is going to come with, sprayed edges and signed. And it is available for late pledges still until December 1st.
Okay.
That's why I'm showing it to you.
What's your site for your Kickstarter?
Look up Song of Siege and Shadows, or else look up my name, Claudia Klein.
Okay. Mike, I will do that real quick.
Okay, that's good. EL has questions.
Okay, so the main character in this is a female blacksmith. Her name is Gwyneth, and she lives in a patriarchal type society where the women are typically housewives, and she is planning a glorious career as a blacksmith, working a man's job. But her father has other plans for her, and he introduces her to her intended right around the time when she's actually an apprentice blacksmith. So he introduces her to her intended like a week before she's supposed to finish her apprenticeship. And we have drama. And then there's also an evil overlord coming to take over their world. So she's also going to take part in fighting the evil overlord.
So I have a very not unimportant question to ask. If your main character were to arm wrestle her intended, who would win?
Bring in the heat, Mike.
I'm not sure because they are all elves. This is a world of all elves.
Okay.
So in my in my vision for it, like she doesn't have like the big beefy shoulders or anything from being a blacksmith because she looks like an elegant elf. So I would figure a male elf would still be stronger than her.
Okay. Oh, E doesn't believe you, but okay. um, and EL wants to know, how big was your initial print run?
Of the special edition?
Yes.
It was a print on demand. So I am ordering however many I got orders for.
Oh, makes sense.
So it's pretty nice when you do a Kickstarter and you get it funded in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, the last one before that funded in 40 minutes. It was pretty cool.
It's you. Holy crap. So yeah, you got the whole trilogy book. So when you only do the like the sprayed edges, those type of books, just for your I'm looking at it, Kickstarter folks, do you not like just get a few extra made that you can sell at shows and things like that?
I do not have time to do that many in-person events. The only ones that I've had the opportunity to do so far are book signings at Barnes & Noble, and for that, they order all the books from Ingram Spark themselves, and then you sell them out of their store.
And sprayed edges, do you do that yourself?
For now, I do.
So you have an actual great list of folks. You're getting 30, 40 or so backers every time. That's awesome.
Yeah, I tend to compare myself to the super huge Kickstarters, and I'm kind of like, oh man, but we fund, so I'm happy.
Right. I mean, everybody would like $30 million in Kickstarters, but let's if your costs are X and you're getting X plus a cheeseburger, that's a great day.
Yep.
EL says Mike is quiet. He's not using his usual mic. I don't know what Mike is doing, but he's got like a lot of. You can hear me coming through his speakers.
Mike doesn't know what he's doing either. But I don't have another microphone, so I am absolutely using the mic that I have been using. It's just not working well.
Here is ostensibly a serious question from John 4. What kind? I need to read this first before I read it out loud. What kind of random people do you get who want to help you with your Kickstarter? Or is it tried and true people that you tell about the Kickstarter? So I guess what he's asking is it mostly just your mailing list folks, who have been following you, or do you get kind of the odd random person who sees it on Kickstarter and joins in?
It is mostly what we call super backers from Kickstarter. Actually, my newsletter hardly gets any backers from it. I'm working on that.
Good luck.
Yeah, I started building that newsletter for the first Kickstarter, and I had 400 subs by the time of the first Kickstarter, and I was like, this is going to go great. They're all going to buy, and nobody bought from my newsletter.
Well, the thing is, if I do my newsletter through BookFunnel as well, and we're kind of at fault for our own demise with that because we keep offering people free books, right, to join our newsletter. So that's what they're there for, is the free books. And it's the very rare one among them who actually cares enough to buy your books, because they know they're getting all of what they need to read free from wherever.
Yeah, it took me a while to get my reader magnets in my newsletter, but I do have, if you buy the air, there is a short story that is not anywhere else that you can get from joining my newsletter. And if you by saying Song of Siege and Shadows, you can join my newsletter and get Court of Shadows and Games for free. And right now that one is also on sale for 99 cents on Amazon. So it's like, if you don't want to pay the 99 cents, join my newsletter and you'll get it.
Okay, do I sound any better now?
Well, the echo, no, the echo's still there, and you still sound like you, so no.
Well, that's best I can do.
You got any headphones there, mate?
No.
2024, man.
Don't think I do. No, I don't think so. Oh well.
Is it all of us? I see. I'm not getting the feedback from anybody else. I just hear. It's the time of year. I don't know what it is. Once, like every 15 episodes or something, we get some weird kind of problem like this. I don't know what it is. John Four says the echo is all of us, and Alex says speak extra loud, Mike, because
I will
that'll help.
speak extra loud. I will shout to the masses.
Lean right in there. Get right up on that thing. I don't know what this means.
Oh, that's because bat sauce is here.
Oh, right. Okay, there we are. Okay, so here's a question for you, Claudia. Tell us about your editing process. I think you've actually done this a little bit, but EL is our resident person who gets kicked out every episode for some unknown reason. So sometimes you have to repeat yourself for.
Okay, so I am a pantser, and I write all of this off the top of my head, making up as I go along, and then I write a second draft, and that is where the magic happens, and it becomes like a readable book where I am actually happy with it. And then I call it all the second draft as I'm editing it, like the self-editing, before I'm like, this is what I want. I'm going to send it off to my beta readers, and then my beta readers read it, come back with me with feedback in about 2 weeks, and then I revise it, send it off to my editor. For all the ones that I've had editor, I have gotten only a line edit on it instead of a developmental edit because my editor told me it didn't need one. Didn't need a developmental edit. So then once it's back from my editor, I take on the job of proofreading myself, and then it's ready to be published.
Okay. Always good to have a pantser around. And Tim Wolf says that I don't know, Tim, that kind of comes across awkwardly. I don't know why. But, you said you mentioned you were listening to a podcast once and that kind of put you down a road. What podcasts do you listen to?
I listen to as many indie marketing, like how to market your books podcasts as I have been able to find. And I just quit listening to them as I lose interest. So right now I listen to Joanna Penn's podcast. I listen to Brian Cohen's Get Your Books. What's his one called? Anyways, what should I listen to? I started out listening to The Career Author, which is J.L. Thorne and Zach Bohannon. I was listening to the Six Figure Authors podcast with Lindsay Broker and her two companions until they decided to quit podcasting. I just kind of found them and listened to them all.
The Creative Pen is a fantastic podcast. Absolutely. She does go on about AI a whole bunch too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
But are you a big AI person or no?
When I was running my first 2 Kickstarters, but before Kickstarter asked us to disclose whether or not we were using AI, I was using Midjourney to make a couple more pretty images. I think all of us on Kickstarter were. But then as soon as they were like, you have to disclose if you use AI, I was kind of hearing a lot more about like feedback from readers and what they were thinking about AI and what other people in some reader groups I'm in were thinking about it, and author groups I was in was thinking about it. So I opted for my Kickstarters this year. I've run 2 of them this year to not use AI, do a completely no AI campaign. I don't use any AI in my editing process or anything. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence as to my opinion about it.
Amazon actually wants to know if you use AI for a Kickstarter campaign?
No, Kickstarter wants to know if you use AI for a Kickstarter campaign.
I mean, if you're just using it for pictures for the Kickstarter campaign, that seems kind of odd because it's not like you're. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've never used Kickstarter, so yeah, John Yeah, John, we all want that, right? But okay, so Mike's gone, the echo's gone, and oh, look at you, Tim Wolf. We'd all rather have Mike than no echo too. So, but when we can get Mike and no echo, that's gold.
So is there an echo now?
A little bit, but not as bad.
Okay.
You gotta speak louder though, man.
Okay.
Make love to the microphone, Michael.
I don't know where the microphone is. I guess it's in my computer case.
You're a scientist, man.
Yeah, not. I make
Mike was
potions.
actually a chemist, so scientist might be a bit of a stretch, but you know.
I'm actually quite in awe of that because I studied biology in college and chemistry was hard for me.
Oh, Mike. He can't even be humble about it. He's just like, yeah, it is. Damn it.
No. I did organic chemistry because I didn't want to do the math. And really, you're just a cartoon reader. It's just, A, then you put an arrow and you put stuff above it and you say, and it changes to this magically. And yeah.
Yeah, organic chemistry was a lot easier.
Yeah.
Do you ever sit there, Mike, while you're playing, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and doing your thing? You ever kind of think to yourself, wow, if I could like actually cast a spell on this, I could make this really cool?
No. But
I
I
bet
will
you
tell
have.
you
You're
that
lying.
I bought my own personal copy of ChemDraw, and sometimes when I'm just, trying to whittle away some time and relax, I will just start drawing chemical molecules.
Wow.
That's really cool.
It's all about context, Claudia. Okay, if that sentence was in like, say, I don't know, a Tinder profile, not quite so cool. Like watching BookTube in a sports bar. Tim, I think that is probably the nicest thing anybody's ever said to us. Although I will bet money on Mike's sports knowledge.
It depends. It's hit or miss.
Kind of like the Jets. All right.
I thought they were just misses.
So if you do pantsing and you're still putting out a book a year, but you're really writing 2 books a year, if your process holds true.
Okay, so I cheated with this one. It was already written, and it was from my backlog before I learned how to self-publish. And it was actually what happened with this one is I split it into 2 books, which is one of the reasons why it's so short. So its sequel, Dance of Dreams and Nightmares, is the second half of the original first book, and it's coming out in March. So for the first time, I'm super excited. I'm going to be putting out like 3 books within 7 months.
Wow.
But like Court of Shadows and Games was 10,000 words.
I am going to jump off and see if it's me. So, Mike, roll some dice, do what you got to do.
Okay. So, let me know if there's an echo, because I never heard said echo. And I like to blame Ro for everything. So, what inspired you to... Well, we talked about it off camera, so let's talk about it now. What inspired you to start writing fantasy?
I grew up on listening to the audio dramas of Narnia. So every car trip we got, we listened to the audio dramas of Narnia. So I've read those books a million times. And then in high school, I got to read The Lord of the Rings for British literature class. And I fell in love with fantasy from the Lord of the Rings. So I started writing my very first fantasy, which was This World. So I'm finally, this is not the first one that I wrote in the series. I actually wrote it was originally a trilogy. I wrote book 3 first, and then I wrote book 2, and I only wrote half of that. And then I wrote this one, which is book 1, and I only wrote half of that. So when I came to like try and publish this one, I have to finish a lot of the books and I have to rewrite all of them. But yeah. This is my first world that I wrote in.
Nice. So,
Jungle 1 Disconnected.
What the heck was that?
That was the mic that I was trying to use that was not making things any better, so I disconnected it. And now I'm to the
Maybe
computer.
that was it.
Well, it was echoing
that wasn't
before. I tried that. That was my desperation move.
For everybody out there who's thinking it's Rose's fault, that's fine. Go ahead and blame me. It's all good. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So you are on the East Coast, north of us, and as we're the center that, but you don't get to go out and sell stuff in person. Are you going to try to change that, or is that in the cards for you, do you think?
So I'm a stay-at-home mom to kids under school age. They're really small still. So it's hard for hubby to get off work to where I can go to an event like that. So I don't go to a lot, but I do make my primary focus the Barnes & Noble book signings. So it's in the works for here. We just moved here, actually. We moved here from the Midwest in May. So yeah, going into Barnes & Noble is in the works around here.
And they're pretty cool to work with. They don't give you a lot of
I've never worked with the stores around here, but the first Barnes & Noble I worked with, I've only worked with one. That happened last year when I was in the Midwest, and it was really great. And she was actually really excited by how many books we sold. Apparently I was one of her high sellers. So it was just really good. And then she did a lot for me to help me get into the Barnes & Noble over here.
Nice. How about audiobooks? Have you started down that road yet?
No, I have just enough time to write about a book a year or maybe two and market them and run the Kickstarters for them. And I don't have time to get an
You've
audiobook.
got 4 or 5 successful Kickstarters for your covers now. You could probably get away with doing one for an audiobook.
Maybe for this one, because this series is definitely in profit now. This series we're still working on being in profit.
So you keep you have a spreadsheet somewhere, don't you? Mike's going to get all excited when you say yes to this.
My husband told me last year when he had to do the taxes, do a spreadsheet this year. So I'm doing a spreadsheet this year. And I just did it yesterday. So yeah.
That's
a couple years ago when we started this, Mike gave me a copy of the spreadsheet that he uses to keep track of stuff. And you know how after you get to Z, it starts like AA, double B? I want to say it was up to like double H or something. It was this enormous spreadsheet with this just a ridiculous amount of rows and columns to it. So he does love himself a spreadsheet.
I have 5 for various uses in Bald&Balding.
And see, I think it's wonderful, Claudia, that you actually know which books of yours are making money and which ones aren't. I have no.
Oh, I know none of mine are.
But I mean, I don't know how close any of them are. Because and it's great that you can do that without actually doing any live shows, because that's just another expense you don't have to worry about.
So, The Air was your first book that came out. Who is the main character in that book? Tell us about that series.
The main character is Kat, and she has a character kind of like Katniss Everdeen. The similarity of names was not a thing because I wrote her before I read Hunger Games. But she's like this really macho crown princess of a country that's about to be overtaken by marauders, and she decides to disguise herself as a boy and join the army. Even though her father had told her to run away to an island nation with her younger sister so that the royal line would not die out when they were going to be overtaken by the marauders. So yeah.
Okay, sorry, for the first time I got echo there, so I don't know what's going on.
I was toying with echo, trying to fix it. So.
Okay. So we're going to blame you.
Yeah, that's fine. Did you want to take her character into the dome there, Michael?
So we have a thing we call the Bald Dome, because I'm very creative that way.
Do you like your character?
Do I like Kat or do I like Gwyneth?
So, whichever one you'd like to use.
So
Okay,
here's
we'll do Gwyneth because this is the book I'm supposed to be talking about.
okay, so
That's right.
I'm going to roll a bunch of dice. The rules of your world are still in effect, but Gwyneth is the one you chose.
Yes.
She's going to get transported somewhere outside your book, so you can tell us how she would act or whatever without, giving away spoilers. So she's transported somewhere new. She will have a fizzy potion. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
So she will have a blue fizzy potion that she does not know what it does. You can choose to use it or not. It's 100% effective whether she decides to drink it or throw it at the adversary. But she has no idea what it does. Then you get to pick either a regular item or a weapon. If you choose the regular item, you will face a regular animal. If you choose a weapon, you will face a fantasy creature. And this is not necessarily battle to the death. It's what would your character do if she was in this situation. If she would run away, then she runs away. You're telling us a story. What would your character do if she was plopped down in this situation?
You didn't
Got
know
it?
there was going to be a test, did you?
No, I'm trying to listen because I'm not an auditory learner.
So that's okay. We'll talk you through it. So, Gwyneth has been transported to a sunken city beneath the waves.
It's sunken.
I have always wanted to write about this.
And she has a blue fizzy potion that...
Let's hope it's a potion of water breathing.
Now, the choice for you is she either gets a common item or else she gets a weapon. A common item, she faces a common animal. A weapon, she faces a fantasy creature. Your choice. But I won't tell you what she faces until after you make your choice.
Okay, so do I make the choice now or?
Yes, regular
And
item
keep
or
in mind,
weapon.
it could be something like a toaster, because, this is Mike's list.
She chooses a weapon.
Okay. She could have had a tankard as her regular item.
Nice.
But no, instead she gets a halberd, which is an axe on a pole. For people like me that don't know what a
Perfect.
halberd is. So
What in the book,
Isn't-
what does she use?
Is that how they call
Now, that's a
it's like an axe on the
double-sided
top
battle
of a pole.
it? Okay. Because that's like a battle axe, I think.
So instead of facing a silverback gorilla, she must face a chimera.
What's a chimera?
That's the three-headed animal. Oh hell, what is it? Goat's body? I don't know. Hold on, I have Google.
It's your
So-
list, man.
It's ChatGPT's list, okay?
Wow. This is why we're not sponsored by anybody, nor do we have ads. So I guess it's kind of, good and bad.
Okay, are you ready? Chimera. What are you doing, you stupid computer? I hate you. A chimera is a fire-breathing monster with the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and the tail of a snake.
Body of a goat, tail of a snake. Oh boy.
So you're in the sunken city, or Gwyneth is in the sunken city, with her blue fizzy potion that she loves so much because it's blue and fizzy. And she turns a corner, and lo and behold, there's a chimera. What happens next?
So in the sunken city, they're inside of a building where there is ability to breathe air.
Sure.
So what happens next is she throws the blue fizzy potion at the monster to make sure that he cannot breathe fire anymore.
Okay.
And then she goes at him with the axe, hand in hand.
You
Okay, well,
realize you don't know what this potion does.
Oh,
Mike actually has an answer for that. You don't get to choose that.
okay.
So it is a potion of animal friendship. So now the chimera can make friends with animals. Not really going to pay it.
Not with
here,
you.
but
So when I ask, is an elf an animal?
I would say no.
Yeah, I'd say no too.
Chimera
So-
gets all the other animals in the area to do its bidding and attack you.
What animals are going to be in a sunken city, though? I'm pretty sure mice are not going to make it down to the
Oh,
seafloor.
there's a bloody chimera there.
It's magical. Have you ever heard of a wizard who conjured up rats? I mean, Grommy did in my book, but he's a druid, so that's totally different.
Yeah, okay. All right, Claudia, this isn't about Brahmi. This is about cat. What is, or not cat, sorry, this is
Gwyneth.
difficult. What is your character up to?
Well, she already threw the potion and made friends with an animal, so she's supposed to do something afterwards.
No, she
So-
can't make friends with the Chimera. The Chimera can make
No,
friends.
she didn't make friends with the Chimera. He probably made friends with the animal, called them his animal friends. And now she's just like Legolas, like elf type thing, just going at all the animals all at the same time. With her cupboard.
I think Mike was being nice to you, and there's no other animals around. I think was what he was getting at.
I like the whole Legolas thing because, I mean, she's a blacksmith, so she should have stamina, so it's not like she'll get tired anytime soon. Does she sing a dwarven battle song just for fun? Somehow I'm picturing her.
Since I'm not good at poetry, the elves don't really sing in my world.
Fair.
Too much singing in Elton. They don't need to be singing all the time. What do they got to be that happy about?
So how does she deal with the fire from the fire-breathing lion's mouth?
I would almost say she has the magic of creation. I would say that she can do something with that to get around the fire breathing part.
How does magic in your world work? Is there a
I
different
was
kind
really
of-
inspired by how magic in the Lord of the Rings worked, where they did kind of just use magic for creation. So my elves can only use magic for creation. They used to be able to use magic for fighting. They used to know the ancient fighting magic, but it's been lost. So what happens at the beginning of this book is we know that they have sent off their warrior to go learn the ancient fighting magic, and she hasn't quite come back yet when the evil overlord decides to come.
Nice. So ultimately, does Gwen stay till the end of this battle, or does she cut bait and go swim up to the surface because the fire-breathing chimera is not going to be able to do much in water?
She finishes it to the end.
Okay.
It's like to the death, and she wins.
Okay, there we go. So that was the Bald Gnome, and no quiz necessary.
Oh my goodness. Is that similar to how Dungeons and Dragons works?
Mm.
I don't know, Mike, is it?
I have no idea. I've never played D&D.
Yeah. Neither have I.
He's such a nerd, but he's never played D&D.
You
Well, I
can
never
tell us
have
that.
either.
Okay, all right. But you don't
Maybe-
come and do this 3 times a week, and
Yeah.
roll dice with your, whatever Mike's doing over there.
With a dice tower?
Oh, with a
Wow.
dice tower, for God's sake! My God, man.
This is what happens when you never get married. You can buy things on a whim and nobody ever tells you can't, or that it's a poor idea. I have a lot of crap that I wish I hadn't bought, but there was no one here to tell me not to, so...
Nice.
Oh, so what is the next book up? You're going to write the sequel then to Song of Gwyneth's story?
Yes. So the sequel, I just put it on pre-order on Amazon.
Nice.
So then people can read this book and then immediately go and get the pre-order if they want. It's called Dance of Dreams and Nightmares. And what?
What was the title again?
Dance of Dreams and Nightmares. It's not dark fantasy though. I write novel, right? But it is all the way drafted. I decided to have a developmental edit on it, so I am about to hop into revisions, developmental edit, and just get it ready to go.
Nice.
You seem to have dived in quite heavily to the whole marketing side of this, which is awesome and commendable. What part of your writing journey in the last 5 years has been the most difficult / time consuming / pull your hair out?
Definitely how to get sales on Amazon.
And how did you crack that particular nut?
I still have not quite cracked it. I'm working on it. I'm kind of playing around with all the different types of marketing. So there's newsletter marketing, there's social media marketing, and then there's advertising. So I'm not sure what else to say.
Do you do a fair bit of like paid advertising on Amazon?
No, because I have tried paid advertising with this one, and it either needs like a blurb doctor or something, because this one is not making profit off of ads. And it's a little hard to target. It's kind of like Ranger's Apprentice meets Mulan, maybe.
Interesting mashup.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to market. It was just kind of like back when I was just writing for fun. So this one is I ran some preliminary ads on it, and I've found some good targets. So I think when I have enough books out in this series, I'm gonna play around with that some more.
I think we see a lot of folks here say just what Tim McKay's saying, is that Amazon ads are you're funding Jeff's big blue rocket. It's really difficult, I think, to gain the traction without spending just a tremendous amount of cash trying to figure out how it works. And even then, everything I've heard says that they don't give you the data that you need to really make good decisions on that format, So, for what that's worth. But I mean, if you've got books that are already, earned out, that's fantastic. And you're far ahead of people who have been doing it much longer than you. So congratulations on that. Absolutely.
Thanks.
So way back when, before EL got kicked off the first time, he asked a question I wanted to ask you, which was, which of your characters is your favorite one to write?
In this series, the hero is a guy named Alec, and he kind of has the character arc of Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. And writing their love story is my favorite part to write, because he's just kind of like, the reviews on this book, people aren't really liking Alec, and some people think he might be an anti-villain or something. But I kind of respond to it as like, well, I think you're just responding it to the way Elizabeth Bennet first responded to Mr. Darcy.
So there is a romantic element to these stories then.
Yes. I would say, so it's about a forced betrothal, and then Eva Overlord comes and they're like, what do we do now? So yeah, I'd say it's kind of, from my perspective, it's half romantic element versus epic fantasy element.
What takes precedence for you, the fantasy or the romance?
Like, which one do I like writing more?
And which one takes precedence in the book?
Is this a romantic fantasy or a fantastic
is it
romance?
both fantasy and romance? Or, I mean,
based on feedback, I'm having to call it romantic fantasy. But in my mind, it's kind of like just almost like a fantasy romance, but not quite.
and how have you gotten that feedback? And I mean, what kind of things are they telling you? It sounds to me like that's all coming as a complete surprise to you when you're getting this feedback. It's like, that's not what I thought this was at all, which is a great thing for people to realize will happen when they find good ARC readers or alpha or beta readers who actually tell them things they need to know that maybe they didn't know. There was a question in there somewhere. I forget what it was.
Can you repeat the question? I missed the
Hell
question.
no.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in and ask, if there was an intrepid young writer who decided they wanted to write fantasy, what would you tell them? First thing you would tell them about writing? What's the biggest thing you've learned?
I would say write it as fast as you can to get all your thoughts out of your head. So then you kind of have the whole story and know what's happening.
So first draft, and then you make it good the second time through.
Yeah.
When you do your second draft, how big of a change is it from your first draft?
I'm trying to think the one that I wrote really fast last. I don't like the one I wrote the fat like all at once like that was the wizard. And I honestly don't think it was that big of a change. Like I wrote it in 2 months and I really liked it. I revised it for about a month, then sent it off to beta readers and then came back revisions for about a week and then sent it off to my editor. And my editor said, "This is not a developmental edit. I'm just gonna give it a line edit." So did that answer your question?
Well, I mean, kind of. But I mean, you said before that you do get everything out of your head, kind of draft, and then go back and do it again. On those occasions when you do have to, like maybe your first book, when you do have to do it again, what's that process like? I mean, we had somebody on here who was that, Mike, that said that they wrote like 400,000 words and then their second draft was 180 or some nonsense. They were
No,
just
that
getting
was
rid of a full book.
that was C.M. Kaplan. He said his first draft was 170,000 words, and then he went through and he got rid of all the stuff he didn't like, and he had 40,000 words left. And they were scattered here, there, everywhere. So then he had to write. The second draft was trying to connect all these pieces that he liked together, and then he cut another 40,000 after that and did it. It was I mean, I got a headache just listening to it.
Yeah, he ended up writing over 500,000 words for a 150,000 word book, which is just kind of crazy.
That's crazy. See, I write short and then I have to expand a little bit. So like the first draft was 35,000 words and I had to expand it to 80,000 words. I did that because I had added a second POV to make it longer, but that one was very underdeveloped. So that was kind of easy to expand. And then the Crown, the sequel to the Heir. Where's my camera? This one was finished at about 50,000 words and I wanted it to be 70,000. So I did have my editor give it a pass and tell me ideas on how to expand it.
Do you find that having small kids around the house makes you a little more focused when you actually do sit in front of the typewriter?
Definitely.
Yeah. Because you don't know how long you're going to have, how much quiet time you're going to have, or when that might all implode.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm guessing you don't have any rituals to get you into the writing mood. It's more like I have 3 minutes, let's go. Or do you have a ritual before? You
A
start
lot of
writing?
times it's like I have 5 minutes before supper boils over or something. So I just sit down and write, and I usually get out about 300 words in 5 minutes.
Wow.
I think.
Okay. That's about a page. Yeah. Can't hear you at all now, Ro.
That's because I had my microphone muted.
We liked it that way, but oh well.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's a great rate. I mean, over the course of an hour, that's like 3,600 words or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, when I sit down and write all in 1 hour, it's usually about 2,000 words. I feel like I get tired as I go along, so it slows down.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I'm with Tim here.
that's
300
a
words.
good. That's a good way to get into it, I guess. If you start like that, and you have those kids around doing that, you're going to find yourself, in 10 years, like just feeling, wow, I have all day to sit down and do this. and
Yeah,
then your
I'm
productivity
really.
will go right to hell because you'll be looking at Pinterest and eBay and Amazon,
Yeah.
and Discord channels and all that other stuff.
So you said you like the marketing, which is odd for most of the people we have on here as introverted authors. But what is the hardest part of the process for you? Is it the first draft? Is it editing? Is it finding a cover you like? What's the hardest part of getting a book together?
I would say probably the first draft because there's usually a part in the murky middle where I get stuck and I have no idea what the middle should be about, but I know where the ending is. So then I'm just kind of sitting there a couple of days just stuck wondering what I should do.
So do you ever, when I get something like that, if I get like a chapter and like I know what has to happen at the end, but I don't know how to get there, I end up just actually writing it out longhand on paper. Do you do that, or do you just hack away at the computer because you have 3 minutes between?
Yeah, I don't
screens?
do that often because I'm impatient and I just want to get stuff written as fast as I can. So I do it on the computer as much as I can. But for The Crown, I'll show it again. I was substitute teaching full time when I wrote this. So, and I didn't want to drag my computer to school every day. So I did write all of this almost all by hand. And then like before I got a computer for college, I was always writing all by hand. And some people, like a lot of people for the Heirloom Goose trilogy, they like The Crown the best. And I'm wondering if that's just because I wrote it all by hand first.
Yeah.
A huge advocate of writing by hand now. Sorry.
Not just writing by hand, but write by fountain pen.
Yeah, I'm just writing a note and my pen ran out of ink, so for a new ink for it. So, sorry.
Man, when I was writing in high school, I was writing everything in pencil. And then I realized when I went back like 2 years later to try and type up a book that like half of it had almost been erased, or but not really erased, like faded.
Nice.
So I started writing in pen.
It is nice. It helps. It slows you down a little bit, but gives you time to think about what it is you're writing. So I think it's, and then when you transfer it over, you get a first edit at it. You know, when you type it in. So it's probably why it seems much more polished when you have that first draft done, because it's really your second or third draft.
So, The Dance of Dreams and Nightmares. After that comes out, is this a duology, or is that book 2 in another series?
So I originally wrote it as a trilogy, but then I decided to split book 1 into 2 books. So it's a planned 4-book series, but I'm almost hoping that I can stretch it into 5 books.
I don't think you'll have a problem. I was going to write a 4-book series, and I've now written 4 books in my 7-book series. So, I don't think expanding is going to be a problem.
Sometimes it goes the other way.
For me, writing short every time, it might be harder for me than for other authors.
So,
Do you ever get writing into a book and have an idea for a totally different thing? That you
Yes. So I was trying to finish Dance of Dreams and Nightmares, I think it was. And that was when Fourth Wing became popular. And I was like, I should write a Dragon Rider series. So I started a Dragon Rider book. And then I started another book. I think I was reading Throne of Glass series, and I was like, I should write something like this because it's top of the Amazon charts. And so I started something like that. But it's like I don't have time to write 3 books all at once.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. Except for maybe EL. He seems to have all kinds of time for that.
So, Ro, your favorite person, Sebastian from the Unpublished Writers, he wanted me to tell you that he's up to 25 ideas now for books, and he's actively writing 7 somehow. I did not ask for details because I wanted to sleep that night.
See, old age would be good to him because you find that you just don't think about that many things anymore, and you have hard enough time just keeping track of the one. So in a way, it's a lot easier for a writer to be a little old.
So actually, he told me to tell you that he thought of his 25th book on his drive to the grocery store. He's like, make sure you tell Ro that. And I was like, okay. I don't know what Ro's going to do with that, but I will tell him.
Well, I have half a dozen books in my head too, but I'm just not writing them. So until he actually shows me 25 books, he can have all the ideas he wants.
So, Claudia, you don't know Sebastian, but when we first interviewed him, he was living alone, so he had his room, he had nothing on the walls, so he's writing 3 books simultaneously, so he just put Post-it notes up as timelines on all 3 walls. Each wall was a different book. And I was like, did you at least color code them? He's like, no, they're all yellow. I'm like, what happens if you stick one on the wrong wall? How long before you realize that there are no elves in your modern military thriller?
That's the type of room that a police detective walks into and, I think we found our freaking serial killer. Yeah. start stringing up yarn around it and connecting things.
So after you finish this series, whether it be 3, 4, or 5 books, I'm going to bet on 5. You said you want it to be like Brandon Sanderson and write everything in the same universe.
I kind of do, but the more I follow debut authors who just smash it right out of the park, the more I realize I need to write more to market. So I'm not sure how much more I'm going to write in the universe instead of just switching to writing to market.
Or you could stop following writers who smash it out of the park on their first try. Because that is just unrelatable. You know? It's like, I'm only going to follow guys who won the lottery. But I understand it's not the lottery. They did a lot of work. I get it. No letters. Don't call.
No, we want letters. That's publicity. Any publicity is good for us, Ro.
At this point, probably, you're right. And speaking of which, Claudia, hold up your latest book that came out yesterday again, and we'll give people one last look at this. Song of Siege and Shadows. I am going to put up your Amazon page again, where everybody can mark that down, take a look. And you have a couple of novellas that you give away for free for your mailing list?
Yes, it depends on which book you buy as to which free book you're going to get.
Okay. All right. And then they can link to that from your Amazon page somewhere?
Not from my Amazon page. I've heard mixed things about like whether or not you can link your newsletter to your Amazon author page recently.
Okay. Do you have a website?
Yes, go to claudiakleinauthor.com.
There it is. Okay, let me link that in here real quick like. All right.
Claudia Klein. Oh, yes.
Go there, people. It's a hard-working mother. Give her some love on the buy a book. That's what you gotta do. There's buy my book. Damn it.
Yeah, and like this one, I put the ebook in Kindle Unlimited. This series, these are all wide, so you can get these on any ebook retailer. This one, I'm trying Kindle Unlimited again. So if you're a Kindle Unlimited reader, go download it.
So you went out and got your own ISBNs and everything for your first series?
Not for the first series. I asked in all the author groups and I heard mixed things about ISBNs, so I decided not to get ISBNs and I just did it with the stores. And that's kind of worked out. I figured out how to make it work out. For the paperback of this one, I got my own ISBN. So it's uploaded into Ingram Spark. I'm about to upload it into KDP sometime this week, and we'll see if they like that.
All right. And you have a pre-order going out for your next book already. And when do you expect that one to be available?
I set the release date for March 27th.
March. Okay. So you get a little bit, but you can get people on it already. That's cool. All right. And Claudia, if you have anything else you'd like to add, please do, and we will let you go.
If you want to follow me on social media, I am on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, all at the same handle, which is at Claudia Klein Author.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Claudia, thank you for coming on the show. And now it's time for us all to wave awkwardly as I hit the end stream, and at some point it will actually end.
And thanks to all the folks who showed up here once again and spent another hour of their lives with us. I'm sorry you'll never get that back, but we appreciate it.
And
thanks for having me, guys.
Show will be Patrick Ryan. I keep getting his name backwards. I think it's Ryan Patrick. It'll be Friday at 8 p.m.
I hold on, I will tell you. I have it up here. It is Ryan Patrick, and it is a special time, 8 p.m. on the 18th.
Yeah, because halfway through I started saying, "Hey, Patrick, how are you?" And he never corrected me. So
yeah, we have a bunch of odd time signatures coming up here in November. We've got a 1 o'clock, a couple of 1 o'clocks, a couple of 8 p.m.s. So if you don't follow us on Twitter, please do, and we always try to put a link out for that.
Okay,
Right.
well, Claudia, thank you very much. And
Thanks,
now
everybody.
we'll